keep it consistent, and we only chose the ones that are right on the beach, because being right on the other side, it really isn't going to depict proper data. So as we can see here, the market rents vary from 1.6, which we saw that kind of correlates with the REE data, all the way to 243. However, what we did notice was that the apartments that are here aren't really apartments. They're condominiums that are being are rented out. So that would explain the larger square footage and the larger asking rents. Yes. And then over here, we looked at the same thing for condominiums over here by the water, and we can see that there's a range from 290 square feet to 380, 382. We can also notice that there's more of a demand for 2 and 3 bedrooms, not really 1 bedrooms. So we're assuming that these are couples, young families, or older retirees that may come down with their family and whatnot. Yeah, you can go. Okay.
Just to briefly go into the concept, we have 2 unique parcels here. We kind of decided it would be a cool idea. So both towers can have views of both the ocean and the intercoastal to kind of place them opposite of each other. The oceanfront tower is going to have 101 units. There's a typo on the 13 West. It's going to be 93 units actually. And then very briefly, some features, spacious condominiums. We're going to offer the quartz countertops kind of to give the feel of luxury. And we figure the standard versus luxury can come in because we're going to have those options as well with the square footage. And maybe additionally, appliances or upgrades like that. We're also obviously high-speed internet. We can make the option of housekeeping available, open lounge spaces, conference rooms.
So where did you get these from? I mean, did you do market research and look at your comps, or did you
Right,
say
that comes next, the comp analysis.
From the comparables.
Comparables, yes.
That Lydia did on some of the Sabia Beach, and they have some very
That's all like your
extreme.
condo data that here has, right?
Yes.
Is that one of your sources? I hope you noted it here.
No, actually, I work for the Miami New Construction Show, and Peter works with us.
Right.
So it's collaborative.
You weren't able to get direct data from him?
Yes, I can. Of course, I don't know.
Hey, of course. That's right.
So just to quickly go along and to tie into the vision and the concept that we are creating. Before that, I would like to mention again that the economy is actually picking up in this area, and that we, as developers, need to satisfy what is becoming of the area. So the 2 factors are the call center from Brazil that's relocating, which is going to be creating about at least 1,500 jobs. And then there's the pier, Palmetto Beach Fishing Village, the pier, which is being revamped currently, a tourist attraction. You have the plethora of restaurants that is going to be coming about. And basically, pardon?
It's a good word.
Yes, and basically, we have to kind of like set the tone for the economy. Now, I have had discussion with the developer himself, with his Dev Matoni, and his market analysis person, Lisa Lena, and she advised me of the comparable projects in the area that's happening. These 2 are setting the tone for Palmetto. Sabia Beach is a condo high-end luxury. They worked with Arquitectonica, which is the top architect company in the world, and Stephen G Products, all high-end line finishes. The square footage, everything was balanced accordingly. The unit size is 18,000 to 3,000 5,000 square feet, 500 minimum price per floor, 72 units. And again, this is right on the beach. If you go to the second slide.
So, sorry, this is how we got projected for our unit size, as you asked before.
Now the second project, which is Koi Residences, is interesting because they started off as just wanting to do apartments, but they realized that they're going to have competition coming along and that they want to make themselves exclusive. So they made it into a townhome itself. The property is on the marina. Again, some of the factors they want to contribute is having these people who own yachts, who could afford these type of luxury items to be living in this area, pushing out,
And the call center people like this.
and the call center, actually, the income that they'll be making is $25 an hour, as a lead manager, which is very, very, a good salary.
So let's figure that out. So $25 an hour, let's say they work 40 hours a week, $1,000, you know, then it's $50,000 a year. And will they be able to afford a condo?
It's not the call center.
It's not the call center people, it's just basically, the growth of bringing in the type of clientele that they're looking for. So they figure, okay, these people, which may be being the age of 25 to 27, our age, their families are gonna come along with them, and they're the ones from Brazil who have this money, who is, buying the condo units.
That's an interesting concept.
It is, but that's what, we were talking about.
So I get a new job up here and somehow I've gotten a green card, maybe I get an EB-5 visa, I don't know, my family's putting in $1 million.
From the Latin American perspective,
Mhm.
they travel with their families. They don't just leave and, you know, they bring their entire family. So these are people with money. Their parents are retired.
Let me interject something. These are different events happening concurrently, but there are people in these countries that want to park money, not necessarily the people coming for employment,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, and so those things are happening as well as, but our target market has nothing to do with that particularly. So a number of things happen at the same
Did
time.
you look at that article in the New York Times, which was all about how the construction in Miami is moving out to Broward? Did you source that? It's a great article, which actually took place about 1 month ago.
Isn't that with the related also? Is coming to.
I was just wondering if you looked at those sources and see if this supported that.
Um,
So let's keep going
okay,
because
sorry.
we're kind of at the end of your time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, just really quick with the SWAT, some strengths are obviously the location, new construction. We have the option to do shared parking amongst both parcels. Some weaknesses are the average household income within the area, within our demographic. And the age range shows, you know, a higher percentage of 35 plus. Originally, we thought we were gonna target towards a younger crowd, but the demographics showed us differently.
Alright, so just a time out, it's interesting. So if you correlated age and income, you might find that that's a beneficial thing. Because
Yes.
households that are older tend to earn more.
Right.
But here you're showing it as a disadvantage, so.
Well, because originally we were thinking that this was gonna be one tower apartments, one tower condos.
Okay.
So originally it would have been considered a weakness.
Mhm.
Some opportunities, each parcel has unique access points to the ocean. The occupancy rates are high, so it shows that there's a demand for more. Some threats are the new projects in the pipeline, although they're not being constructed, they're planned.
Alright.
And obviously, our competitors would be our direct neighbors, with their leasing and their sales in the area.
Alright, I'm gonna give you a quick run through of the front door, back door analysis that we did. So previously, as we stated, we were trying to see if we want to do apartments, one condo, one apartment, one parcel apartment, one parcel condominium. So we came up with the unit size for apartments and whatnot. So here we have, say for instance, we're gonna build the apartment building on the beach. It would have been 100 square feet. Here we have. Wait, where?
So let's assume.
Wait,
and
front.
may-
Oh, why is it
may I help you?
backwards?
I'm
I'm
gonna
sorry.
help you.
I
See,
meant to explain this one.
No, I'm gonna help you. It's a negative number, so that's
Right.
why you decided not to do it.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Fine, and so now let's go to the bottom analysis, the front door.
Right, front door. I meant to talk about that one first. So here, the cost, we're projecting the cost value. It's not really projected, it's just on the property appraiser, it gave the value of the property on the beach, 9.8, but the one on the
Wait,
intercoastal.
and I'm helping you out here, and so there, you look at the bottom, everybody, you see, God, they need to have a rent of almost $30 a square foot.
Right.
So not only does it not work on the front door, it doesn't work on the back door.
Right.
Because you can't get those rents and you get a negative value. Okay, that's great. That's fine. Keep going. That's good.
This was the unit mix we provided for the intercoastal and the beach towers. These are the prices we assigned for each of the units, and that gave us our ultimate total sales price. So total sales in the intercoastal tower will be about 71 million. Total sales in the beach tower will be about 130.6 million.
So this is your condo analysis?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So here's the construction cost, which you guys seen already. Just threw it on here for a quick
I
reference.
understand that, yes.
Intercoastal.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Intercoastal tower construction, 33.7. Beach tower construction, 37.
So we'll accept the numbers for the time being and see how that interacts into your.
Right. So we created a quick development cost budget, real preliminary, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We assigned 7% for permit fees, soft costs, 7% on the total construction hard costs. That's how we got that number.
Where do you get the land number though? That's the key. What's that $17 million?
We threw that in as a plug. We felt that that would be a good asking price.
And based upon,
The marina, the yacht, the beach.
are there other comps or is that what the asking price is? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we discussed the asking prices for Sabia and
Sabia.
Horse.
So I'm talking about the land.
Right, well, on the
Yes.
property appraiser for both of them, it's about 12 something,
Mhm.
but the last time that both parcels were sold was in 2011, that was probably for like 11.5, 11.7. So we figured now with, different time being, and now the value of it has increased, that could be a fair price.
And it turned out to be about $87,000 lower.
So that's the price for both parcels of land.
Right.
Okay, and so let's do a calculation, folks. So you're basically saying we can build, I guess what we're really saying is 203 units, right, total.
193.
Amongst,
Right.
well, 110.93, right?
No,
101.
101 and 93, excuse me, so it's 194.
Right.
So I'm just gonna take that $17 million number. And I'm gonna take that 194, and so paying $87,000 per unit. Have any other costs for acquisition or comparables in that part of the board? I mean, have you looked to see if people are buying parcels, if other developers have priced the parcel on that basis?
In that area, there aren't really other parcels.
And that makes it a challenging
Right, so
assessment.
right, exactly.
Okay, let's go through this and see if we come up with numbers.
So we just did a quick takeoff on what our total gross sales would be. Came up to about 202 million approximately. Figured this commission fees would be about $6 million. Marketing and sales, $1 million. We figured it'd be about $5,000 per unit. Total development cost with these expenses included is about 108,225, and that's our should have been pre-tax and pre-interest profit, 93,700,000.
Is there another, so before you get to the
Summary.
summary, I'm glad we're at the summary, go back. So, and no, that's good, folks. And so that 93 probably is going to go down because you underestimated your construction cost by probably in the order of 25 or 30%, right?
Correct.
Just want to put it into order of
Yeah,
magnitude.
yeah.
So what's your return on cost for your investment? What's your return on equity? All right, good.
No, go forward. Okay. Sorry. It's the end of the day. Summarizing.
But it's here in the book?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go down
Yeah,
some more.
towards the end of the page, on
Go
the
down some
summary
more.
page.
One more. Move forward. So just summarize the main highlight that people can support. Go down some more. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. One of the things we pointed out right here is
Oh,
that
I like
we
that. 105 stories or 105
no,
feet?
it's allowed. We're allowed the zoning on the parcel, the two parcels.
To exceed 105 feet.
We are allowed
No,
to
it's not.
exceed.
105
It's
feet.
feet. That's a
Sorry,
typo,
sorry,
that's a
sorry.
typo, that's
A little
typo.
5 feet.
No, if it's 105 stories, then we'd have the FAA.
That's a typo.
We're in
Dubai.
Yes, this is written down here what we're allowed to.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just saying, for the actual development, that they would consider using 105.
All right, so where did you get item number 4? Where did you come up with that greater than 80% number?
Okay, what we did is that figure before you had here where it's showing 90-something million.
Oh, I see.
And
Over,
that,
yes, I
and
see.
that has some issues in it. It'd be nice to get returns of that on a project. But between here in terms of how much you're utilizing and refining your cost. And I think somewhere in there we mentioned that using like an Argus developer to help us to refine the figures. We realized how crude our figures were. We could get better figures, and that the land has a lot of potential because we could maximize our footprint on the land better. This is a doable project.
So question, do you know how much they're asking for that land?
No, it's determined by the market.
It's not on the market.
And
No,
again,
it's to be determined by the market.
To be determined by the market, so basically,
It's gonna be
you
more.
offer that price.
Correct.
Because you figured that makes sense and it's quick.
But Savia Beach and the other one is setting the tone for that.
I understand the setting the tone, do you know what those developers paid for those parcels of?
I don't know if I can
No, we
say
don't
all
know.
that.
I couldn't just ask, that's a great way to look at it, with two direct comps, you don't know how much they pay per unit.
this was a great experience, both working as a group and also going through these figures. It really made things come together
No,
for
it's
us.
forcing you to make a decision, figure out what to do, okay, thank you,
We'll
folks.
see how it goes.
So, we're just moving forward, which is great.
On to the next one.
Who's the next one?
Or the,
You are?
are
If you want to, okay. She gets voted. She raised her hand.
Here you go. One for you.
Is it Lake Center or who's going next?
They're going for next.
There's 6th Street, and so we'll say West Palm Beach for the bitter end.
Good job.
All right, time out to learn about Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. So we had Southwest 6th Street Towers. My name is Rebecca. We have Frederick, who do we have? Quincy, Brennan, and JP. Next. Okay, so we're going to go through the summary, site analysis, zone and land use analysis, market analysis, concept development plan, comparable report, SWOT, financial, and conclusion. Next. Okay, so this is our site. It's located on the northeast corner of Southwest 6th Street and St. Andrews. We're right here, it's our site. And then as you can see, right here is the courthouse, and then they're expanding the courthouse right there. So our proposal for our site is to create a mixed-use office and retail space with parking in the back. We decided to do that because it was a downtown area where it's actually zoned for, it's zoned RAC-CC, which is like city center district, which is a high intensity district. So it's downtown, we're across from the courthouse, we're in the area. Great location, there's a demand for a Class A office, we're gonna go for it. As you can see, our site right now, this is our site right now, it's a blank area. There's a little bit of parking already, but we're gonna just rebuild it and make, when we get to the concept, we're gonna make the garage parking. As you can see the area, there's a Publix, which is walking district. There's other office buildings, so there's the need for more office. People are working over there. It's in the downtown area, and again, it's right across from the courthouse, walkability to the riverfront. It's gorgeous. So this is our property. Like I said, it's a city center district, which means we can do the mixed use development and high intensity. It's 1.7 acres. That's the location. This is our site breakdown.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the market analysis. This location of the property, it's the last vacant location approved for office in the central business
I'm
district.
giving you time out. So 1.7 acres, 74,000 square feet. What's the maximum density that's permitted on the site? How many square feet can be built? Is there an approval or is there?
Yes, 622,808 square feet of occupied space, which could be modified.
620 some thousand.
Yeah.
Did I hear you right? Okay.
622,000.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, please go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, yeah, so like I was saying, it's the last vacant location approved for office in the central business district. I developed the market analysis based on vacancy, market research conversation with the broker that is the broker on the property and current economic conditions. We figured the highest best use for the property was office with retail at the bottom because it's already zoned that, and in the area there's already a pretty, like if you go around that area, all the new construction going on is all residential already right now. So we figured office with retail on the bottom would be the best use for that land. Now I'm going to go into the neighborhood analysis.
So here's the question. So most of the construction going on is residential in the area, but you decided to go with office.
Yeah, because it's kind of oversaturation of residential. We didn't want to add another residential in there.
All right, so did you look at the pipeline and do capture rates on residential?
Yes, we did.
That's the case, okay.
We saw it was better. We saw it was better for office building because there's a low amount of Class A office space in that area and in that high intensity area.
And I'm kind of jumping you ahead a little bit here. Did you do an equilibrium analysis to figure that out? To see what was in the pipeline to demonstrate that demand?
No, I didn't. I looked on the REES data.
REES data is good. It's important to figure out, once again, the REES data is 1/2 of the equation. That's the supply. And then they give you enough information to help you figure out what the demand is. And then, how did you come up with 110,000 that gets mentioned, or
The 110,000 square feet in the building. We figured.
That's okay. Put the button down again. Thank you. I'm just trying to figure out. So I'm getting ahead of it. Keep going through your analysis. Maybe you can tell me how you got there.
Okay. We got our market rent. Wait. Sorry. Okay. We chose retail on the bottom floor because of all the residential that's in the area. Also, there's an expansion going on with the courthouse, and our property is literally on the corner of. It's right next to our piece of land. So we saw retail at the bottom being good for just walkability, people walking from the courthouse, people walking from all the residential. We figured that would get leased up pretty quickly. Now I'm going to go to rental rates. We established the rental rates using comparables in the area and the recent leasing activity that is in the area. It shows that the vacancy has been dropping in the business district with an increase in market rent. The average vacancy right now is 19.3, and it's expected to go to 18.8 by the end of the year. And rents are also supposed to increase about 0.4% at the end of the year as well.
So why is the vacancy rate going to jump? It's going.
Vacancy rate is going down.
Because I see here it says average vacancy 9.8, and then up on to the right you say average vacancy 19.3.
Well, his was it was 19.3, but we looked at the historical average, and so we looked at the sub-market for the downtown areas, which was lower.
Okay, so it's currently 19.3.
Right.
Yeah, and it's going to be going down.
Well, historically, it's,
I see. Okay.
And it's also
So it's trending towards the equilibrium rate, maybe.
Yeah. We figured out a square foot, $26.15 per square foot.
How did you figure it out?
Just with comps in the area, there weren't any brand new Class A office space in the area. So we had to just look at some comps and kind of base it off of that, and we had to increase the value with have it being a Class A office building.
Do you have the comps for us to see?
Yeah, the comps will be at the end. Okay, I'm going to go into some of the market trends. Right now, Port Everglades and the airport are under expansion. You might ask, what does that have to do with an office building? Well, Port Everglades, they're adding in new shipping channels in Port Everglades, which will allow for larger boats, larger cargo ships to be going through that area. That will drive some of the, some of the market from Miami and that area over to Fort Lauderdale. They're also adding a wave streetcar. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it. It's a fixed rail system that goes up and down the business district. It makes 10 stops down New River, and it's going to stop 1 block away from our property. It just is going to make accessibility in that area way better. This area has the potential to be one of the most dynamic cities on the East Coast. For international affairs, that's what we're looking at. A lot of the companies that would be coming from Miami and doing the international import and exportation and move over to the Fort Lauderdale market.
So has anybody done a study, and I wonder if it's available from the port, so that when port activity increases, what is the multiplier effect or the corollary effect of the need for services in the office buildings that would support the port activities? Did you look at that? Because
No,
intuitively, I think you've got it, but the question is, where's the support?
When I
was
looking at trends in the area, I was trying to find the biggest things. When I looked at the Miami area and I saw the companies that were based out there, they're close to the port. They're all their office buildings are pretty close to the port right there. Couldn't find the correlation on what's the reasoning on why they want to be close to the port, but I just saw if the fact that they're having the shipping channels going through the Fort Lauderdale airport, it would have to bring some of the market to that location.
Did any of you contact the Fort Lauderdale port?
I just looked it up online.
I
I just looked at the information.
Just making that phone call, anybody, everybody, that can make a difference. Did you have a question?
Yeah, did you contact the Broward Alliance at all?
The Broward Alliance?
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with that.
Okay, well, they're an organization in the county that is for economic development. Their job is to bring business in here. They run reports every single year. It's actually part of South Florida Business Journal. They have a separate report. It's a really good resource for you guys to consider.
Yeah.
And they would give you, or certainly, I'm convinced they would have the kind of market study that say, okay, how many office jobs, how many retail jobs, how many any kind of jobs get generated out of port activity. And that would be a real important indicator to help you figure out what kind of demand there is for office space.
Okay, some of the employment, the rate at which jobs are being created is higher in Fort Lauderdale than a majority of the markets in the entire nation. People want to work in areas in dense urban areas like the Fort Lauderdale Central Business District, just because of the walkability and the accessibility factor.
What's the walk score for this location?
The walk score? I don't know the exact walk score.
That's a good thing to know.
I know it's very high because of what's around it. And in the area, the metro area increased about 5,100 jobs in the last year. I wish I could give you a number out of how many jobs total. I couldn't find that number.
Right.
But off the REE data, that's all I.
If you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the metropolitan area, they'll easily tell you what Broward County.
I was looking online and I was looking at the total population. I couldn't indent that to how many jobs
local
were.
librarian.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, hello.
That's right. I mean, you've got great resources, and by the way, if you're a development team, you can not only access the Broward Alliance and other things, but universities and educational institutions will contact this resource right here to help figure out some of that information.
Next time I'll use this resource.
I just want to add too that we just added from the Florida Electronic Library, Demographics Now is now back under the business databases. You can get so much information down to like the track level. You can really play around with those numbers, and I actually have a contact there now too, so even if I couldn't help you, I have someone that can help, so that's a really great
So the reason
resource.
why I'm saying this, and I'm just trying to get right to it for each of your projects, is you've identified trends, you've identified what may be good, support for what you want to do, but then you have to back it up with the data. And without the data, how can any of us on the investment committee or your equity make that decision without?
I guess on the presentation I went with a more broad approach, and then I have a lot of the data backed up.
Well, if the data's in here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I handed those out for everybody to like look and follow along with us because it's
Well, pay attention to what you're saying.
But
because by the way, you might be sitting in front of an investment committee, an equity committee, and they won't get past the cover letter and notice with the biz and say, next.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyways, next.
Okay, we're gonna go into supply and demand, which is Quincy.
Alright, as far as, I looked at the REE data for the retail and the office, and it took a broad stroke on, the future of 2016, 2017, what the developers are expected to deliver to the market. Over the same period of the absorption rate is 272,000, which is a 3.1% annual increase over that period. Kind of what I want to highlight is around about the last census of it is that in 16 and 17, the effective rents are anticipated to climb to 4.2% respectively to $22.25 and $19 per square foot.
And that data is from where?
REES.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the office, the REES data is shown in the Fort Lauderdale area and our area. The jobs are going to grow in the metropolitan area, over 5,000 jobs during the second quarter.
So there you have it. It's a great growth rate, Brandon, of 0.6% during, I guess, the quarter. Then you can back into that, and remember, it's easy to take 100 jobs divided by 0.6%. You figure out what the total, employment base is. The real trick is whether it's office employment we're talking about.
Well, let's say it was dominant uses for office uses in industries and public span 5 years. 2,200, so it's office use. I don't know if that data don't count yet. And that's all I want to highlight in the interest of time. I can follow on JP.
So here we are, we decided, well, what are we gonna build in this parking lot? And we decided, okay, well, let's think about it. You know, we can go high rise. We know with the interest of the courthouse being so close, the proximity to downtown Fort Lauderdale, Publix across the street, we decided that we can go with a 5-story, 2 buildings, 5 stories each. In the middle, open green area. On the back side, we can do parking, because you know downtown Fort Lauderdale, parking is always an issue. So we decided, okay, that's our original kind of concept. Also, we thought about what do people usually look for in an office environment. So we decided, okay, well, after discussion, okay, they want someplace on the first floor, over here, where we have, retail. Now, retail doesn't have to be any big retail, but most of the times, you need somebody, like a wellness center, somebody there, like a shoemaker, coffee shop. Bear in mind that the courthouse is about 1.5 blocks away. So we decided that, okay, with the office space would be a great idea. The open green space where people would relax, get away from that mental block, I guess, if they have one. And also, providing the space, the parking, the retail. I think this is a good mix to be in the downtown Fort Lauderdale area. Quincy, you want to take it next?
So I'm just going to ask a question. So what is that? Is this a pipeline that you're showing of all the development?
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. So this was data June 2015, and it shows that
from where? Who's your source?
We have a site on we saw the site on in the book.
Okay.
We have office under construction, 770,000 square feet. We have approved office, 299. Under review, 443,000. And retail, not completed, nothing's completed yet.
So there's over 1 million square feet in the pipeline for office downtown.
Yeah, according to the. It's here together.
Okay, so the comps was a stressful event. So first, let me orient you to the map. Is the obviously the legend, the big orange line is Turnpike 95, and obviously the subject property has a big arrow pointing to it. What I did was look at the comps in the area of all commercial properties sold within a year. And we came up with 10 different properties along with the subject property. There were, I've tried to do the comps two different ways because I was unfamiliar with how to make it work, being that we wanted to do office or retail and there was not any office or retail comps in the area. So what I did was I took all of the sales within the last year and had a purchase price per square foot per lot. So two of the comps, I used two different ways. One was per square foot plus or minus 20%, both sides, and then the other one was as compared to the lot size. And there was three different ones that's highlighted on the next slide that weren't used in the second one, used the median approach to slide. Next slide. So the ones that's highlighted in red was not used for the median approach, simply because the property number 9 was parking. It was a big high-rise parking area, and it was a little bit pricey for me to consider. So when I did all the comps and did the median, as far as the second one, we got it looked for like a purchase price of the lot that we was looking at around $2 million. The first way we used it was looking at just the plus or minus deals, and that's the one that's on the first side, the lot size. The second property and eighth property, which came out to a price of approximately $5 million, which was the last known purchase price. How I found this data was a combination of loop, net, and the tax rolls. So it was kind of hard to find it. There was no other information out there for it, but that's how I got it.
So I have a question now. In effect, what this looks like, you're attempting to do what I'll call kind of an appraisal approach, but it's not. It's the very first rough cut. Are all of these office zone properties, mixed-use properties, do they have same zoning, same use as your property?
Only the properties 2, 3, what was that? 1, 2, 4, 6, and 7 was zoned for mixed use. 8, 9, and 3 were not used because they were parking garages.
Good. And then what about number 10? But it looks like you used it, but what was it zoned for? So I'm just trying to say, it's great to look at comps, but you want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, or office to office, I should say, if that's what you're looking at.
Right.
Right.
But you did say there were none that were combination office and retail?
Well, there was some zone mixed use,
Okay.
but from what I seen through the tax rolls.
And are these all land parcels?
Yes.
So there was no use or any building on any of these parcels?
The ones 9 and 8 were parking garages.
Okay, and that's why you excluded them?
Right.
Okay.
All right, we did the SWOT analysis to analyze the property for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So the strengths were they had a large population of Hispanics within. Last year they made up 24% of Florida residents. It's in a good location, sufficiently large enough to accommodate large-scale development. As we said before, it was permit for 622,000 square feet. It's good proximity to surrounding residents, walking distance to the courthouse. That's a plus. The weaknesses, achieving lease rates will likely change broader economic functionality. The current office lease rate, which we got from RS means, was $26.15 a foot. And to be financially feasible, that's an error of $43.58. For us to be able to be feasible, we would have to be, it would be $31.58 a quarter.
And is that from your financial analysis?
Yeah, that's
Something
important to
yet?
the front door analysis.
Okay, all right.
Slide, please. That's what I'm saying, about opportunities, Hispanic persons are a larger population in Broward County with over 29 residents. Hispanics last year made up 24%. Market to Hispanics has been identified as one of the potential options for retail population. Now, the threats, everybody know in Florida, threats, major threats are hurricanes, tornadoes, they frequently occur. The outcome from that being massive property destruction. The modest increase in inflation can seriously erode purchasing power over time. So the money that we pay for the property now, 5-10 years down the line, more, maybe twice, 3 times more than that.
Okay, so it's interesting what you've got for opportunities, threats, as well as strengths. This is, you've chosen to do an office development with retail. So does it really matter that Hispanics are 24% as an opportunity?
Yeah.
Unless they're going to represent 24% of my office owners.
Right.
And, I mean, is that relevant?
Well, it's relevant to us because of the flow of traffic that we get from retail and for advertising to them for the office section. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So that's my
understand
question
that.
too. I'm like, you're saying that the office space and the retail is targeted to Hispanics, but why I don't see the correlation personally. How is Hispanics the primary target?
Well, we made
retail.
the primary
I don't
target.
get it.
I get it. A lot of the companies that when I was doing my analysis, a lot of the companies that I would see that would move from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, those companies are companies based out of South America. A lot of that's where I was going with like the cargo ships.
Okay.
It should have been posted in there, but
Okay.
there was
So,
words.
so the challenge here is you've identified an opportunity, you've got to translate into how that opportunity works for this particular site. So if you're saying, oh, they're doing marketing to Hispanic and Latin American group, there's a growth, once again, if you look at the jobs that are created or the firms that are moving to the area or occupy space downtown, then you know that's an opportunity. So it's not the people themselves, but it's the service to those particular individuals or demographic group that I think is important to distinguish here, because I'm not sure either what it is. And by the way, so where's the opportunities and strengths and threats with regard to the retail? So I have a question. Here's another question. What's right across the street?
The courthouse.
Publix is across the street. Is that good or bad for this site?
Good.
Why?
Because like when people want to go get lunch, they can go to Publix, and then they have their nice little green space, and they can go eat their lunch outside.
Okay, did you figure in your calculus that even though it's not on the property, Publix is an anchor tenant, and you happen to be across the street? So what kind of stores and retail are you planning for this site, and are they related to that anchor tenancy? Don't
It would-
answer the question.
A lot of stuff that's just walkable, because along with the courthouse and like Publix, a lot of the residential's there. So we were gonna say a lot of the retail would be restaurants and food. I know there's a Publix there, but if you
Or
can
even
go
like a
inside and go and get a
coffee
Publix
shop.
sub and
I'm not saying that you just go to get the sub at Publix, but supermarkets create some kind of destination, as you just heard from the stylist there.
Yeah.
They noticed from rooftops. Okay, let's keep going. This is interesting stuff.
Okay, so we did a static snapshot to see if this development would be feasible. Basically, in the back of the envelope, the back door. So we know we were building an office of 100,000 square feet of gross leasable area. Retail is going to be 7,000 square feet with the net runway area. So we took the efficiency ratio, like common areas, and, I'm sorry, yeah, 15% of that. So basically, we know the square footage was $6.15. Even though we know the the vacancy rate was 19.3%. The historical vacancy was 9.8%. After further investigation, we found that the cap rate was 5.66%. Now, construction costs, hard and soft costs, came to low almost $16 million plus $8 million for the garage construction, which we're constructing 400 paid parking spaces. We times that times $20,000. Our projected operating expenses was $635,000, which is approximately 20% of the
You got that from where?
excuse me.
Where did you get the operating expense calculation from?
Oh, from potential gross revenue. I basically did 20% of that.
But what's
Because I heard you when we was in the class, you said basically
did
about
you use
40%.
iron data or what's the source? You didn't hear. What's the source? of that?
Professor Ford. Basically, he was saying 20.
Sorry, the source.
He's not, no, seriously, he's not a credible source.
No.
He's a competitor, if
Okay.
nothing else, okay? So you have to have a documentable data. And that's why if you look at the iron data which he provided, that's a reliable source.
Okay, I understand.
That's why I'm not sure I can rely on these numbers if you use him as a source. And that's not because we're trying to be funny. You've got to be really careful about that, because it's got to have credibility.
So track-
who's going to say why.
Track down the person that said it, see where he got the sources from, and then think about it.
Yeah, he said, she said, you're right, this is a real challenge. So look, we got down to $1.28 million supportable site acquisition costs.
Okay.
And so that's based on your 110,000 plus your retail. And so you're basically saying we're spending, what, $10 a square foot FAR? Okay, maybe 12, 11, 12 bucks.
Maximum?
Yes.
And that's why I was asking, what is the, what is the price per square foot? So if you go back to your comparables, as Quincy was talking about, those comparables there, then it would be great to see, do you know how much office could be built on all those comparables? And you would have said not just simply the price per square foot of land, because I'm less interested in that than the price per square foot of the buildable FAR of office. And so take that table at some point and tell me what could be built on those sites. Now, of course, you can build 600-something thousand square feet on this. You're electing to build 110. And now I can make a comparison to that. But I don't know if that number, if you go back to the broker and say, hey, I'm going to give you 1.2 million, are they going to say, hey, that's something I negotiate, or something they'd laugh you out of the room with?
Okay, I understand.
And I don't know what the answer is.
Now, what are you talking about? Operating expenses?
I'm talking about, you're trying to figure out the cost of the deal. You're looking at we did an acquisition analysis basically of 1.2 million and figured it out. So
Okay.
how do I know whether that is a supportable number? And it's not just simply on your comps, but it's on your pricing per buildable square footage. Once again, you gotta go back to the apples to apples. So let's keep going through this, see where you came up with your ROC and ROE.
Okay, so we did the market value, that's a error. It was 39,399,036.
All right, so wait, I'm helping out. Acquisition cost is 1.2, but the market value of the site is 393.
Yeah, I took the ERB calculation of the NOI divided by cap rate, that's how I got that.
I think there's an error there, because the issue here is, wait a second, we're gonna look at the NOI divided by the cap rate, and I think what you did is a mistake. You took the NOI and you multiplied it by that cap rate, it's 393. I can't figure out what you did.
No, this is wrong. I told you this is the error here.
You put an extra number in there.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
no
the
wonder, I
error.
just can't make the math work.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was actually, yeah, that's the error. That was
So what's the market value of the site?
It's 39,399,046.
So that's the market value of the land or the finished building?
The finished building, everything.
All right, now I'm with you. Keep going.
Okay, so, the monthly debt service was $154,860. Now, the largest permanent loan possible upon completion of the building was a little over 25 million. Now, debt service ratio, it was the limited number that provided the smallest acceptable amount for the bank. The LTV was the highest, so I took the DCR instead of the LTV because the DCR was lower than the LTV.
Now, why did you do it because it's lower? You might have been able to finance it based on the LTV.
Maybe, I just went.
Wouldn't you want to take more people? You always want to do OPM, use other people's money. And that's kind of the corollary to POM, piles of money.
Okay. I got you. I understand that now, but when I went through class,
Okay.
you were saying take the smaller number, so that's the way I went through it.
All right.
Okay, so, we we did the cost budget for the end, the return on cost, it was 1.6%. And the return on equity was 7.9%.
I can make phone calls for you on this device, but I can't make them.
Oh, sorry, Siri.
Terry needs to calm down.
That's right.
Yeah.
So where does this take us to? What's our
So,
conclusion?
so it takes us to, is the project feasible for us to do?
It is why?
Because we feel like the 7.9% is a return on equity. It's depending on the type of product, depending on who the investor is. So it's a.
So when you look at the real capital analytics data, what kind of cap rates or return on equity? It's kind of hard to compare the two. You're not doing
25 and 6%.
I see. Interesting. Okay. So what's the conclusion on the deal?
Well, the conclusion is
The conclusion is that it's a great location, that the concept idea would actually work out, like you said, the Publix is down the street, bring in people, the diversity would bring in people. Like Frederick said, feasibility-wise, it's actually okay, and it's desirable for the residents of that area.
So, those are probably correct. The key then is, so economically feasible only if you pay, by your reckoning, 1.2 million or less for the land.
correct.
Right? And if you accept that kind of return.
Right.
And so I'd ask my fellow investment committee members, would you accept that kind of return?
Hell no,
Why?
way too low.
Way too low because?
It's, the cost of the land is not accurate. I mean, it's not.
So he's not a credible source.
All right, you got us here. How about you, sir?
No, I'm not even gonna get into all the.
I didn't mean that because you didn't think it was funny. So.
That was really pretty good.
But the challenge here is there's substantial amount of risk. And let's go back to what Stiles did today. Stiles was looking at a AAA credit tenant, Publix, a AAA credit tenant, basically a triple net lease on 90-something% of the space that they build. And they're looking at, okay, they build it for 8, they sell it for 6. They build it for 7, they sell it for 5. I don't know who the credit tenants are here. You don't even have a lease in hand, and your return on cost is way below, much less the return on equity. And so, on that basis, even if he isn't a credible source, I agree with him, because the risk is too great.
That was a joke.
So I would look to, I would frankly say that the risk here, I would want to see returns that are in the mid-teens to low 20s at a minimum. And so that means to me
In the low teens?
either your rents are too low or you're paying too much for the property, and I'm not sure you're paying enough for the property to actually get
Yeah,
it.
and see, that would be another component to this is, I mean, if you make an assumption that there is some level of good information in the market about what the pricing of that property should be, one would expect that the owner of the property has already, to a certain extent, factored in what is the maximum productive use this property could be put to whenever they're putting it out to market. In other words, most of the owners are not going to be living in a vacuum and saying, oh, well, you know, the person that comes along, they may only want to build it at 20% of what the capacity actually is. Most of those owners and the sellers of those properties have already figured out the math and have already set the price according to what is the maximum building envelope on that site.
Yeah, the full 600,000 square feet or
So if you build anything less than that, it's not going to make economic sense. Because they're looking at it as, you know, they know what the potential is, and they're going to price it accordingly. Now, every so often there are the market anomalies and the strange things that occur, but for the most part, folks that own those properties are usually reasonably sophisticated enough to figure those things out.
Nope, thank you.
So,
but the issue is that, like with our site, I mean, if you built that thing to the max, which I'm sure could support an $85 million thing, it's going to
but then the market may not support it.
But that's a different point. The point there is it will sit empty because the market doesn't support that, so therefore it should never be built.
Right.
So just wait until it gets
But
lower.
that's, but
You have
that's
to
what
wait,
this
that's
owner
that's
is.
where the
That's what this owner is probably
yeah,
doing.
either the owner is gonna have to accept less,
Yeah.
you know, but, you know, in a lot of instances, that's not necessarily going to be the case. They're gonna, because they sit on it, so they get that maximum value.
But I think, and once again, I appreciate everybody's patience, you're sitting here, and I hope you're finding there's some value for what we're talking about. That I think it was, and this is, it's not a criticism, it's good or bad, but it's an instructive issue. The 1700, let's pay attention, okay? The 1700 Biscayne property may absolutely lend itself to a phased development. And I think so it was a good effort to say, well, you know, we don't think this makes sense, and that was your way to deal with pricing. And you approached it from a different perspective, which was you still use the whole site and you just download the size. You didn't give us the opportunity to see if there was additional value that could be created. So phasing might work.
What if we just
still
kept
wanna
on
add, you
That's
could
right.
always like have another phase in addition on.
Well, and the market may not support it, I realize, and it may be that this just doesn't work on this site. And that would have been a legitimate conclusion too. When you come in front of the investment committee, when Justin goes looking out through all those sites there, you know, from Stiles, who was standing there and couldn't get a word in edgewise with Bob. And so when he was looking, and he goes out looking for sites, and he told me, we were talking briefly at the end there, oh my goodness, we've got all the experts, everybody in-house also means everybody thinks they know the answer. And he goes to their investment committee, and they probably say, yes, no, no, it's okay to come here, and we could have said, we're interested in this site, and if you come back and say, it doesn't work, we say, great, thank you. We know why, because you've done your analysis for it. So you don't always have to buy the site, but you want to understand why.
Absolutely.
It may not work.
And that's another, you know, component piece of this. When you heard him say this morning, how many sites do they look at before they finally accept one? Maybe 20. So the odds are stacked against you, okay, to begin with.
Yeah, and I chose these sites because I just thought they were interesting sites. I didn't know if they were economically viable or not. Okay. All right, thank you for your number.
Can you tell me what's the value of, what is the asking price?
They don't know.
Nobody
For
knows?
what, the land?
Yeah.
What are they asking? How much?
No, ours is available. Hey, Greg, you know the asking price for our land?
Is it up for sale?
No, they didn't have one.
Oh, yeah. I think, it's the close, it's for sale, but it's, yeah, they're not giving, they're not trying to hit the price. We try to reach out like we were.
Yeah, they didn't have that price.
Right.
We're doing high-end luxury,
All right, another HD presentation, 16:9 resolution. All right, you're on what's called
Can we not?
All right, good afternoon, folks.
Good afternoon.
This is Group 3, and we're last, but I hope we're not least.
Not least.
Okay, and there are 5 members in this group. We've got Paul, we've got Marianella, we've got Jeff, we've got Kyle, and myself, and Claudius. And we were given the assignment to look at the West Palm Beach property on Lakeview, and it is currently zoned, although the zoning is going to expire sometime early next year in the first quarter of next year, for mixed-use development. So my colleagues and I, we diligently looked at this deal from several perspectives, and I'm going to have, I guess, Kyle start off the discussion about the site analysis, so that we can cut through the chase.
Just hit the backward or forward button and we'll come back. There we go.
Whoa.
Probably
I can see
issue.
it
That's
here.
still works. All right, you're on, Kyle. Oh, who's on?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't take your finger off as you
One
press it.
button, just one push.
I did, but it was like flat.
Simply
With desktop briefing.
Make,
Let's see what's going on here.
Okay, so
All right, folks.
our site is positioned, as Claudia said, in West Palm Beach. This is just kind of a regional map here. Obviously, we've got Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale to the south. Jupiter is also right around in this area. We also, it is a couple hours away, but Orlando is still in reasonable distance. This is just a closer map of our area right here. Okay, the land, as Claudia said, it's Lakeview. It's called Lakeview Center. This is just the technical terms of it here. It's positioned right in the entrance of downtown West Palm Beach. So right as you come in there on Highway 407, you'll go right past City Place, and it'll be right on your left there. And obviously, it offers a unique opportunity there because it is upscale development and it is expanding. This is just a picture of it. This is our land right here. As you can see, City Place is right next to it, just almost a block, maybe 2 blocks away there. You got the next one.
getting just one.
What's the lead?
Well, the next slide is just going to talk about the surrounding land use.
No.
So I'm going to do a quick technical fix. Assuming that you don't have anything that's too fancy in your presentation, let's just immediately make it into a PDF and we'll show it as a PDF, okay?
Okay.
That way we'll solve hopefully our problem.
It is 10X.
That should be it, don't worry.
Not on this one.
Fantastic.
All right, so now just hit the forward and back and
Okay.
it should probably work fine.
Even better. Fix everything.
Just go to the.
All right.
Okay, this is the adjacent.
Whoops.
Go back. This is the adjacent land uses. To the west, there is the City Place parking garage. There's also a Class A office building. To the north, there is a mixed-use development, luxury apartments. To the east, there's another mixed-use development, and then to the south, immediately adjacent to the south, there is open land. Right now, it's being used as parking. And then right below that is a car dealership, Jaguar and Aston Martin. To the southwest is a brand new mixed-use development, and then to the southeast is Palm Beach Atlantic University. Here's some pictures of it. This is a picture to the north. This is the picture to the south here, and you can see the parking there, and then the car dealerships. And this is a picture to the east. Vehicular access, obviously, as I said, you come in, if you're coming in from I-95, you'll come in from Road 704, or Highway 704, I should say. You can either take a left and go down Barrio Boulevard here to get into the site, or you can go down here and you have to make a U-turn. Traffic is a big issue in this area, but this is actually our site plan and the egress and ingress that they proposed. This is the regional access. The red here is state highways. Obviously, this is 95 right here. It's hard to see, but our site is right in this area. And obviously, I-95, that gives regional access from, the Fort Lauderdale area, Boca, Jupiter, as we discussed earlier.
Actually, just so you know, your site is not where the arrow is.
No.
No, that's a mistake. That's pointing to 95, actually.
Yeah.
We're talking about regional lines.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, big thing with our site is walkability. We got the walkability score from walkscore.com. It was 93 out of 100. Due to City Place being so close and all the new development, mixed-use development there, walking is a very big thing. Parking is not a big issue. There's a lot of parking garages, but as I said, traffic is a big issue. So they're really, the city of, or the downtown area is really emphasizing the walkability. These are just some site characteristics. We found no easements or encroachments, no nuisances, the flood zones and the flood district, and the fire district, obviously. The zoning for the area, our parcel of land is actually zoned for commercial plan development. For those of you that are in our land use law class, we talked about overlays, and our land is actually in the City Place DRI, which stands for the Developments of Regional Impacts. That was set aside by the Planning Division of Palm Beach County to just specifically for City Place to emphasize mixed-use developments with a big emphasis on retail, because they wanted to emphasize the walkability and really promote the downtown area. This is just the zoning. As you can see, our area is right here, and all of these are zoned commercially planned developments, and then obviously right around the outside area, these are not in the City Place DRI. I'll let Jeff take over here.
Great, thanks, Carl. So Kyle went over the site analysis and land use analysis, as well as some of the zoning. I would like to point out this is a full block, city block in the downtown core, over 1 million square feet. It's in a highly, like Kyle said, a highly urbanized core with a huge walk score. And let me take you through some of the aspects of the project. The subject site is approved for the uses summarized below until April 11, 2016. This is significant, this date's significant because this subject site actually received its development order in 2008. So the site's been sitting idle with a development order, fully entitled to build up to 1 million square feet, mixed use, was even recently amended to add a hotel a few years back. So I thought that was significant. This is what it's approved for: 317,000 square feet of office, 57,000 square feet of retail, 350 residential units, 250 hotel rooms, 149 of circulation, 23 back of house, and 39,000 arcade recreation and deck. As Kyle mentioned, all the information above was obtained. Oh, I'm sorry, that's something different. Kyle was talking about the with the DRI, this is approved for saleable, leasable square footage for total number of units. That means that it's been approved for up to 1 million square feet, whatever you can park into the site. There is no height restriction also, by the way.
So you don't have to worry about the FAA here.
No. So that was a little bit about the project. I'm going to get into the market area. The subject property's vehicular and mass transit patterns, competitive projects, and economic demographic profiles were of significant importance in defining the market areas. So how do we define the market areas? As you can see, we have a primary and a secondary. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. Because you have a mixed-use project, office, hotel, residential, office buildings, the local market area depends on the location of competitive office buildings. So in our case, the office being in the downtown DRI, we're looking at competitive office buildings within this area. We're not so much concerned about the tenants and where the tenants are coming from. That's peculiar to office. With the hotel, it's actually the opposite. Hotels target consumers who live well beyond the market area. So we have it pegged as a secondary, but we all know that the hotel is actually going to induce demand from just all over the country, all over the world actually. So
So how do you define markets? That's interesting with the hotel, and I guess I'll chip in here. So is there really a market area for the hotel? You just said it can come from all over the world. So how do you develop it? And did you look at Smith Travel Research to look at the competitive hotel set?
No, I don't have access to that.
Right, no, but the library has access to some of that data. So, and even if you went superficially onto it, you could have asked the broker, said, do you have any research on your competitive market sets for the hotels?
Oh, we did do our own. I did my own, like, old-fashioned research.
Right, so how did you define the market? Was it by the area or by the hotels that are around the area?
The hotel, it's targeting consumers who live well beyond the area, but we're noting that in our case in particular, there's a considerable amount of inflow demand created by demand generators such as the convention center across the street and City Place.
Okay. So
All wrapped around our project.
So you looked at office buildings to help to define the office building competitive set.
Yes.
Why not look at hotels to help to define that set for you?
We are, and that's why we have this secondary area. And we have picked a competitive set in this area, but we're also noting that there's inflow demand that we're adding in as supplemental demand from all over. I didn't know how to set a market area for the whole country.
So for most hotels, they look at competitive set, they actually look at the competitive or comparable service level hotels. So you can find 4 or 5 hotels in the downtown that might be comparable to what you think you want to go there, and that's one way to do it. Okay, but I'm glad you're looking at these issues and help you understand it.
Going on to residential, I want to explain how I define the market area for that as well. It's got 2 market areas. One, from where the tenants or buyers will be drawn, the secondary market area, where they'll be drawn from, and where the competitors are located.
Okay.
Here. But we do have some multifamily wrapped around our, luxury multifamily wrapped around our. So what else defined our market? Well, in our case, we have a lot of demand generators that really are driving our project. One is City Place, a mixed-use residential lifestyle center development located in the heart of downtown. It's actually right next door. I'm sure all of you heard of City Place. They've all as well. The next biggest demand generator was the convention center directly across the street. They do have a proposed 400-room hotel being built with a pedestrian bridge. That's going to induce a lot of demand. Anytime you can build a hotel across the street or next to a convention center, it's a win. Even though they're going to build one as well, we feel, after digging into the market area, we felt looking at the demand generators, it kind of helped us formulate why we picked the development program we did, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Another demand generator is the All Aboard Florida. Go back one. All Aboard Florida station. This is the the passenger rail service it's been talked about for years, but this is going to bring in a lot of demand to our office, as well as multifamily.
As well as hotel.
As well as hotel.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Clematis Street. Some of you may have had a drink there.
Yeah, it's Clematis Street.
Clematis Street. That's in this. We got it spelled right here.
Okay.
Sorry about that. That's going to help out with multifamily. It's about 6 blocks to the north at the far edge of our market area. And another big demand generator is Restoration Hardware Gallery Store. It is proposed, so I put it on the bottom.
So why would a store be a demand generator for your property?
Well, let me tell you. This store, which is located out in the median, it really, between that and this across the street, and this next door, and this 3 blocks down the road, and the Kravis Center, and many other demand, this in particular, this has created like a gateway into going into Palm Beach. It's parked right in the middle of the road. You got a 2-lane highway here and a 2-lane highway in here. And Ours is right here,
It's
so.
proposed on the vacant parking lot that's.
No, I know where it is. I think it's gonna be a very interesting development that we're talking
It's
about.
putting this area on the map, it's tying it in. You know, as you know, City Place was built, what, 10 years ago? And I think if it wasn't for the crash, they probably would have come out of it a lot better. But I wanted to note that this is a pedestrian, this whole downtown area to me is becoming like a pedestrian development. And those are long-term projects. And we get into that a little bit in the financial analysis and in our go, no-go, because as we dug into the fact that it was a pedestrian-oriented project, it has a very long-term return on investment. And that's why you see City Place struggling over the years.
All right, so Restoration Hardware is a demand generator in what regard? Is it generating demand for office, hotel, retail, residential?
It's going to definitely demand, it's going to induce demand for retail.
On your side?
On our side, because there's going to be a pedestrian bridge crossing people across this divided highway.
They're not going to build a bridge, so people will just have to deal with the 8 lanes of traffic.
Well, that's what we get into that in a little project.
Okay.
I'll just state it now. If they can't build a bridge, that's a big no-go for us. Because in our long-term, and that's the problem with City Place right now. You're dealing with a long-term project without the infrastructure in place. And then you're going to find out years later that the city's not cooperative. So what are you going to do 10 years when you don't have your traffic counts because people are playing Frogger across the road here? And, I mean, if you've been to the area, you know that the road is a big contention to get across.
Right, and there are other ways to deal with the road, which is lane narrowing, it's called quiet streets, complete streets, calming streets.
Well,
and
landscaping.
And that's what they will do, because people in the city, the development board, the downtown development authority, and others will not let that bridge get built. So Restoration Hardware will generate demand for retail. Any other uses on your site?
Yes, we have hotel.
Right. But
Residential.
But will it generate any demand?
This will induce demand for retail.
How? For retail on the site?
Because while this person's shopping, they'll come to our store to get a soda or a Starbucks. Just as when they're at a City Place next door watching a movie, they may be come over to our site to have a drink.
Okay.
They may stop in at the hotel. So, more so, I think it gives a landmark and a gateway to the city, and it wraps up the whole thing as a pedestrian-oriented development. It kind of puts the whole revitalization of the area on the map.
And I think, I don't know where you're going with it, but okay, Restoration Hardware is what? It's destination retail, folks. It's entertainment as well as home furnishing, but that's already been built in one location, and it's phenomenally successful.
Yes.
And you know where that is?
All
in
over
Atlanta,
there.
Georgia, on Peachtree Street, Restoration Hardware is built a 50,000 square foot destination store, and it is a place to go. And they're going to replicate the model here. So the question is then, what's the spill off for the benefit?
So you heard him say, it's a
Okay.
place to go.
Right,
It's
so
going to
let's
induce
go to the
demand.
next slide.
Let's
All
go to
right.
the next one. So, I still got one more. Go back to the other slide, I guess, while I'm talking. So the site analysis revealed the subject site is part of a larger gateway to West Palm Beach. Considering the analysis that we evaluated, we had to go back and we initially said that we're not going to include a hotel. But after finding out about all this inducing demand and the future plans of this, and the convention center across the street, we went back and looked at the concept plan, which is what I laid out in the beginning. We went and changed our mind that really this is a compelling reason to park a hotel here.
All right, good. I hope there's support for it. Let's go to the next slide.
And now I'm going to pass it on to Marianella for economic demographic analysis and trends.
Okay, well, Palm Beach have a number of features. One of them is the household income is very high, as well as educational level. Also, other sectors like the bioscience, engineering, and medical. When we compare the unemployment rate, we noticed that within the United States we still under the average rate, and also you can see here
that, you know, between the 1990s and 2015 is been fluctuating a little bit, but, you know, it's going down, so the rate, you know, is actually dropping a little bit. And also the recent jobs and future jobs are also higher with, you know, in comparison with the overall United States rates.
Okay, what period of time is that future job growth rate for?
That's the end period of
That's
2015.
unemployment.
No, no, here you say future
Future.
job growth.
I think that was the
42%.
last period of 2015.
Is that the next year, next 5 years, next 10 years?
I think it's
I think it's the next 5 years. That's the next 5 years. I don't know if you have that slide, it's probably in the report.
I hope so. And then, so 42% job growth, let's assume it's next 5 years. So how many jobs is that? Because that's gonna help us understand what kind of demand there might be for office. So 42% of what number, what base?
Didn't calculate the.
Okay, let's keep going to the next slide. Great.
Okay, for this project, we also evaluated the different trades that we want to include in this project, which is the Class A office, apartment, retail, and hotels. And within the office trade, we noticed that it is a very optimistic market due to the fact that it's within the first quarter of this 2015, the actual vacancy rate is dropping a little bit from 17.4 to 16.5. This is causing an increase of the actual square footage for office.
How does that increase office square footage?
Because of the demand, the vacancy rate is dropping.
So in other words, you're saying 100,000 square feet more has been absorbed? Or are we, because I don't know if you're talking about a building?
No, I'm talking about building, the new construction. They actually and this is kind of information is biased due to the fact that this is more for the Palm Beach County, and this information we took it from REE. But in our area, which is we're targeting the West Palm Beach downtown, there is an actual proposed square footage, 400,000 square footage new constructions. Also we noticed that the supermarket areas, we have the asking rate for between, you know, average of 22.5 and 26.5, and within the actual Class A, we have asking rent for 36.03.
So I just want to make sure I get this right. West Palm Beach, west of 95?
Yes.
And we're east of 95.
Exactly, and this is just west of 95. This is North Palm Beach, and
okay, so those are adjacent markets.
Yeah, those are
to
adjacent.
the
Yeah.
downtown market. Okay.
All right, now I'll talk about trends. We looked at a bunch of trends for all of the facilities that we're providing, and the trend lines you can see they're all similar, indicating that during the period of time when we're going to be completing this development, late 215 to 216, because we have an expired date in 216, that they're either expanding or flat. And during the time when we're going to be getting into occupancy, that they're starting to decline. And that seemed to be the relative pattern for all of the trend lines. Let's go to the next slide.
I know that's
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I will make some comments after each of the various elements. So, apartments, you're back?
Yeah, the apartment trends. There are several projects that they're building throughout the whole county. They are increasing about 3,000 units, which that's why they're predicting that the vacancy rate probably is going to increase a little bit due to the because of this new construction of units. Like I said, overall here in Palm Beach is 5.9 vacancy rate, compared with the 4.9 vacancy rate with other sectors, which is retail and office.
So let's be clear, comparing vacancy rates from one product sector to another is apples to oranges, not apples to apples. so the two don't have any relationship to each other. In a macro sense, they may, because it talks about the benefit or the health of the economy, but, so I don't know why the two would be compared. So let me ask this question, and that is, well, no, keep going, I'll come.
All right. Also, the new construction proposed are for the Northern Beach, which is well, kind of adjacent of our market area, will be 1,276 total units, and the asking rate for the Class A units will be about $1,530. Also, the asking rate for the adjacent areas are, you know, in between $1,200 to $1,100.
So why are we looking at those other submarkets now? Why are they important compared to the local submarkets?
Well, in downtown West Palm Beach, there's really no comparable Class A luxury apartments that we can compare
That's a
to.
great
So
answer. Correct.
we had to go outside and look, you know, in the Palm Beach area, and that's why when we were getting these, you know, statistics from REE, it was kind of hard to compare them because the downtown West Palm Beach area is really growing, and it is very expensive, not only to, you know, rent a apartment there, but just to get a hotel.
So if you can't find direct comps, so one thing is to go outside the market and hope that you make some good judgment calls on what those comps would be. Another way to have done it in the market was look at rental rates on those individual condominiums, because there's an active, robust market for rental of a lot of condominium products.
We did look at those, but the thing was is that most of them were not newly built. There was only about
They were
a 10
old, yeah, they
year.
were like 10 years.
That's
Yeah.
right, they're not.
So it was hard to just compare, you know, that.
Yes, it is, that's right.
Okay. Again, we're talking about trend lines here, and you can see the same pattern. So we'll talk a little later on in our conclusion about the concerns we have and the challenges we have. Also in the SWOT test about the declining trend line, just about the time when we're planning to occupy, as to the impact that might have on occupancy.
So you just raised the point. If you can buy it and build it, when do you think you can get it built by?
17.
2017, okay, that might be aggressive. Let me ask a broader question.
It's typically 18 months.
A broader question. The approvals expire in 6 months or so.
You've got to get it permitted.
April 14th, but we can get an extension.
You can. Did you call up the planning department and they said that was possible?
What was done before?
I'm sorry?
We
It
didn't
was
call,
done
but it
before.
has
We
been
have
done,
the
it has been
precedent.
extended before.
But it has been extended before, and why would it be extended again now?
Well, because of the attractiveness of the development to the economy in
That
downtown.
could be.
Yes.
And so did you
Because the
call-
DRI wants to develop their
And
land.
did you ask that of the broker? What did he say?
We did not
You
ask
didn't
if
ask,
they could
okay.
get extended.
And did you actually talk to anybody in local city government or economic development to ask about these questions?
Well, we relied on the precedents. We relied on the precedents that it has been extended.
All right, and so that's another thing, folks. Don't ever rely on precedent. You can't. Let's keep going.
Also, retail is another market that has been very, you know, active, and there is new development, you know, like the opening with like 300,000 square feet. There are also future projects around our site, and with like 350,000 square feet too, just adjacent with, which is in the Palm Beach area garden and the John Green 19-acre residential tower with retail components as well.
So how did you define your market area? Because Palm Beach Gardens is 9 miles to the north. And that seems to be a little bit out of any primary market area, much less a secondary one.
Well, I guess it's, I mean.
It fits well within our secondary market
Yeah,
area.
I mean, we were kind of trying to be.
Our secondary market area is from Juneau all the way down to south of Boca.
To south to, yeah, Myrtle Beach.
Are
So.
either of those projects comparable to what you could put? One of it says 350,000 square foot big box center. Another event is 19-acre residential, I don't know if it's a tower, but maybe it's just across 1 and 2 stories. So I'm just questioning whether looking at those projects are they comparable to what you would propose on the Lakeview side?
We were looking more of the retail as getting people to our
Attracted to
development
our site, yeah.
Obviously, City Place is right there, you know, people, we see City Place as a kind of an opportunity where people will come for the day with their families and hang out and walk around
Convention center as
downtown.
well, that is across the street. And also the average rent for that is like $22, $22.49, the asking rate.
These are not actually our comps. We're gonna get into our comps, but I think they're just noting some significant purchases and leases in the area.
And again, the same trend line pattern here, and to your question earlier on about extension, we're planning on trying to get this permitted within that expiry date. So, you know, there may not be a need. We don't see any hurdles in terms of approvals or anything like that would prevent us from getting a permit.
That's a great point. So if you're planning to do it before the expiry date, you can look on the, or call up the Department of Buildings, or the DEVL, Downtown Development Authority, ask them how long it actually takes to get a project permitted. So you have an approval, but you still have to get building permits, you have to come up with a plan.
This project is fully permitted.
It's permitted.
It is ready to go.
All right, so ready to go, but then the permits will expire if what?
April 14th of next year.
If what? If you don't get a shovel in the ground?
No, we don't get a permit.
Okay.
I don't think we know that.
No, we don't know.
See, that's what I don't know if you know. And so the real question is, can you, and that's getting that information, and I'm not criticizing your knowledge of it, but you should go to the source and say, can this be done? And then you make the judgment or not whether that 4, 6, 8, 10 months, whatever it is, can be done.
One thing we would.
Fully entitled is not fully permitted.
Yeah.
There's a very big difference. You know, fully entitled simply means, yes, all of the approvals are there, everything, you know, has, you know, they coalesced, but the permit is giving you permission to put the shovel in the ground, and that's not the same thing.
Right, and by the way, I do know that there is an approved plan which goes beyond the zoning.
Yes, there isn't a fully approved site plan.
Yeah, there is, which is great, but then you still have to go through
design.
these schematics, and well, somebody has the construction docs and all that, they've got to be submitted. It probably will take you, I know, I'm doing a project in West Palm Beach, it will take you between 8 and 10 months, even on a fully entitled and site approved site. And so then the date becomes a real challenge.
Yeah.
And that's something that you, as you know, if you're telling us to invest in it, to say, are you considering it, or do you adjust your price and go back to the broker?
The date's a challenge, and we note that in our SWOT analysis.
Okay.
There's a short due diligence and period here.
Yeah.
Okay, just asking.
We're very sensitive to that.
All right.
All right, I'm going to talk about some hotel trends real quick. Palm Beach County is experiencing a rapid increase in hotel room inventory in the next 3 years, as rising room rates and occupancies have induced new developments. These are 3 new proposed hotels in the downtown core. Palm Harbor Marina Marriott. There's already an existing Marriott. You have a Hilton Convention Center 400-room hotel across the street, and a small, what's the right word? A smaller hotel, no flag on it. This is our existing competitive set. Nothing that truly matches. There is not a Class A, there's not a full-service hotel in the downtown core. Anything other than Hyatt Place, which is a select service hotel.
Right, okay, and so it's interesting, so once again, we're just the investment community, what we know. Now, the Convention Center Hilton isn't proposed, it's under construction.
It's under construction.
And it will be open in February.